everybody, BitPusher here. How's it going? Once again, coming at you with another shitty made cell phone video. So before we even get started, feel free to hop down in the comments and give me the thumbs down and as much negative shit as you can come up with because I'm using a phone instead of some camera equipment. Anyways, I want to try something different today. I've been reading a lot lately on matters of North Korea and whatnot, and as a software tinkerer kind of guy, I'm going to try out Red Star OS. A couple of things I want to mention there before I do this. As it was suggested in the title, I'm going to install this on real hardware. Certainly not my daily driver. I mean, hate me for it, but I'm generally an Apple guy. It's mostly what I stick with, but I've been tinkering with alternates and other operating systems for years. I love checking out niche systems and whatnot. But if you're like me and you like to play with other operating systems and stuff, some people I imagine have done that and find systems they really like and use them. Not Red Star, wouldn't do it. For obvious reasons. If you know anything about that system at all, which I assume you would or you wouldn't be watching this right now, but it's notorious for its tracking. I mean, North Korea is a communist nation, it's a police state. There's a lot of functionality and things built into this system to track its citizens. And what type of media is coming in and out, just all sorts of nifty little things, but in the case of this, their internet doesn't really exist. It's an intranet. They've got a private DNS server, and their whole system, their whole connectivity is fed internally. Other than, I guess, the privileged few in their upper echelons, nobody can get data outside of this network with any sort of computer, and no outside traffic can really come in. So with that said, I do not know if any of the tracking things built into this software can actually dial home or not. Red Star OS was very clearly never meant for use outside of North Korea, I don't think. Through just watching multiple YouTube videos and some research, I too have found a way to make it work. It initially comes up all in North Korean, and I found a way around that. I've also found out how to get the system into English and how to get the internet working, because it all tries to feed everything within their intranet. It's crazy. This system is a direct knockoff of Mac OS X from just a few years ago. I mean, in every way, it's crazy. That photo floating around of Kim Jong Un with his Apple hardware, he must be a real Apple fan to have had this designed. Because I mean, it's such an incredibly concise ripoff of OS X, it's crazy. But anyways, I'm going to try my best to demonstrate the processes I went through here and boot this thing up and install it on a real machine. I'm going to show you what I did to get the installer to boot into English, because even that's in North Korean. That at least makes that process a little easier. So I will do the best I can with this phone camera. Try to follow along as best you can, and let me show you what we're going to be working with. This HP bad boy right here that originally shipped with Windows Vista, this has been my test machine for years. I've ran, I don't even know how many systems on this. Calibri, Plan 9, multiple BSDs, multiple Linuxes, FreeDOS, DR-DOS, and some of the older DOSes and offshoots of that, OS2. It's seen a lot of action in its time. But anyway, step one, I'm going to show you how I set up the ISO to install in English. And please note, guys, just for the sake of mentioning it, everything you need will be in the description. Links to the necessary ISO files to download Red Star, and different commands you're going to need to issue in the Linux console, and all that good stuff. As a note of caution, So like I said, I like to think of myself as a slight jack of all trades, master of none, because I've had my hands in a lot of operating systems. I'm certainly no expert on network security, so better safe than sorry. My home network and my internet is slightly old-fashioned, I guess, because most people's broadband internet is they have a cable modem and router all in one unit. Not me. I have my cable modem and then a separate router. I've disconnected the router and I'm wired straight to the internet on this tower right now because I don't need glorious supreme leader and his people possibly getting into my router. So that said, I would stress again that if you have done any research and know anything about North Korea, do not, I mean, this system has some cool things, but do not consider using Red Star OS as a daily driver. That would not be wise. But anyway, on to part two, how I got my ISO set up. I used my MacBook and a virtualized copy of Windows XP, a tool called Ultra ISO to change the contents of the ISO, and let's go to part two. All right, so here we are with Windows XP fired up in VirtualBox on my laptop. I hope you can see this because, like I said, I don't know how this will translate once I copy it over to YouTube, but if you can't quite see some of the fine text and all that, again, I will have the instructions on how I did this in the link description, and I will at least try to full screen that in hopes it might make things slightly easier to see. So what I've done is the downloads folder on my Mac I set up as a virtual drive inside VirtualBox, so I can easily transfer files back and forth between this environment and my actual operating system. So with that said, under my computer here, there's my virtual drive, which is a shared folder on my actual hard drive. So I use Ultra ISO, which I know in Windows there's Magic ISO and other software like that to do similar stuff. Basically, you need something that is okay with editing ISO files, because you're going to essentially change the contents. So we will go in and open the ISO, which I happen to have right here. Inside of that, you're looking for the folder named ISO Linux, which is obviously going to boot this, and you need ISO Linux config. Let me get rid of the old one here so I can show this from scratch. You will take ISO Linux config out of the ISO and pop it out on your desktop. Open that sucker up with WordPad, and you will see a line that says lang equals KO. Mine's already changed, which is why you're seeing it that way, but this right here, lang equals KO, change that to equals EN. Save the file and copy it back into your ISO. Do you want to overwrite? Yes, I do. Make sure you save your work there, and now you have an ISO image that will boot the installer in English. Extremely helpful. Burn that sucker to a disk, and now we will proceed to the next part. Be right back. Alright guys, should be good to go. I have booted my system with the disk inside and brought it up to the boot menu where I can choose what I want to boot from. So naturally, I will boot from the DVD-R that we just burnt. This is supposed to be the fun part. Naturally, I hope that either glorious supreme leader's people or my own people, like, you know, the CIA or someone in a black suit doesn't show up knocking at my door here in the next hour. Looky there. Now, I'm using a high definition panel, so maybe you wouldn't see this with this camera set up, as pathetic as it is, but there's some artifacts, image artifacts in the Red Star logo there. You would think they'd have went with something slightly sharper. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so the fact that these buttons are in English alone is because of what we did there, customizing the ISO. This is very, very similar to Mac OS X's install. I need help. This is the first screen. Well, thank you guys. Searching for installations. Well, there's nothing. What disk? How about this one? Could go into the disk utility, but I don't need to create partitions because I will let it use this whole disk. Let's come up with a username. How about BitPusher? Short for BitPusher. Oops. Clearly my typing skills suck. There we go. This is important for making sure your internet works. You have to set this to DHCP, otherwise you'll be stuck within the glorious DPRK DNS. Time zone, way over here somewhere. Close enough. Not quite right, but I don't care. Absolutely. Since this is the part of the game that will probably take a while, I may very well just cease the video and then bring it back once this has gotten a little further through the installation process. And we will resume from there, and I will show you how to get the rest of the actual operating system, most of it anyway, into English, how to get your internet working, and take you on a little tour. This is actually, honest to goodness, my first time using this. I've looked at a few videos and all that and gotten some facts, but it'll be an interesting tour for me. So if you're enjoying this, cool. I will be back. That process is complete. It came up to this screen and it kicked the disk out of the drive, which I will remove now. So let's get a look at what computing in North Korea looks like. Yeah, there you go. 2.20 gigahertz Intel Celeron and 3 gigs of DDR2 RAM. Whoa, what a beast. Oh, artifacts on the logos again. That must have been grub. And once again, another slightly low-res logo. You would think Dear Leader would have 4K or 8K or, 2000K monitors by now. So, BitPusher. Let's see. Look at that. Mac OS from just a few years ago. I get a kick out of this little waving red flag up here too. It must be the search menu. So as you can see, everything is in Korean. We need to get that fixed, obviously. So the first thing we're going to do is go into the System Utilities folder and fire up a terminal. Now there's something we recognize. First, to enable root, we're going to go /user/sbin/root setting. And we'll ask for BitPusher's password again. Oops. Oh, hear that cool little sound effect? Enable root. Now it wants a root password. And now that's enabled. So, hoping this part was where everything is in Mac OS, because I might have misclicked. Okay, so now it pops up with this user, which I hope that says root. I'm going to just try that. System administrator. Okay, so now we're logged in as root. Now we'll repeat the process. Oops. Touchy little bugger. And yep, root at localhost. So now I'm in. So first, it will be sed -i '*s ko kp enus /g apostrophe to /etsy sysconfig i18n. And we'll repeat that same string. Like I said, folks, pay attention into the description section of the video here, because I have these commands laid out if you can't actually see them. /user share config kde globals. Okay, so with all that, a system reboot will be necessary for it to switch languages. Curious if after that first boot it'll boot any faster. Doesn't take nearly as long to boot as Windows did on this machine. Ubuntu was kind of a nightmare too. I honestly hate that. I much prefer FreeBSD for my Unix related stuff, but and to save us all some trouble, we're going to go right into fixing, see how we're in English now? This is a plus. We're going to go right into fixing the internet. And we will once again visit. Oh, look at that. Now isn't that better? Can actually read everything now. Cave Finder. Finder, really? It's hilarious. So we will go into RM, remove Etsy sysconfig IP tables. And you guessed it, reboot. I only know that to be true because some of the other people that have tinkered with Red Star have went through this same process and did not reboot after issuing all the commands that we've done so far, and stuff wouldn't work. So let's do it right the first time. The only immediate step left to actually accomplish is getting the web browser to work in English. I don't know what I'm guessing Fedora. I don't know what this distribution is based on, or if it's possible to install other packages or what. But for now, we're obviously stuck with the built-in web browser. Which dear, glorious Supreme Leader ought to be, I would think, if he was any kind of technology fellow, would be slightly annoyed at how ancient of a build of Firefox this browser is built on. It's called, I don't know, Ninara, however it's pronounced. Anyway, it is still in Korean. See how it goes straight to an IP address here? That's part of their intranet, and naturally nothing is going to come up. It can't. So, having watched videos on this, I have somewhat of an idea of how to do this. I just got to find which. Yep. So, from the beginning, second menu over, third one down. Brings up a set of tabs here. This menu here, click here, and there we are. Now this browser is in English. And we're online. Well, some of it's online. I don't know what all it blocks and what it doesn't yet. Can't load 9gag. Everybody needs a little 9gag in their life. I see. It's trying to issue certificates, and it doesn't know how to go about it. Oh, glorious Supreme Leader, what are we going to do with you? Engadget's one of my favorite sites to go read. What about Tech Radar? See, that site works. Except the images. Yeah, I don't know. So this browser's pretty bad. I don't know what other options there are as yet, but oh well, at least the internet's somewhat working. Let's browse around and see what all we've got in here. What's this up here? Hannah? I wonder if that's the name of the interface. The search menu appears to still be in North Korean. Or Korean, I should just say. This toolbar is ugly. New folder, new window. Look at this. Absolutely 100% Mac OS. I mean, right down to everything, except these are square instead of round. So that clearly makes it a different operating system. Their movie player is actually called QuickTime Player 1.0. What do you make of that? Calendar, KCal, of course, preview. A beautiful calculator. 1.0, of course. I've never actually read this help menu on a Mac or in KDE, but I'm curious how similar it is. About the K Finder. Sog Wang Office. Unbang User Interface. Oh, look at this. I have no clue what this software is. Some kind of composition thing. Looks really cool. I'm sure there are plenty of kids getting use out of that in schools over there. Songwang Office. King. Hope you get a kick out of that. Software Manager. System Update. Ooh, that's scary. Uh-huh. Nothing going on there. Not open the repository for system update. Well, I'm not connected to Glorious Leader's DNS, so I suppose I wouldn't be. I guess one other thing I'm curious to see before I cut this video out. Look at this. Exact Mac OS clone again. Desktop and screensaver. Songun. Standard. Look at this. Now that's high def. This thing looks nice. Red Star. More of that Red Star goodness. Wow, that one's really high def. That thing's sharp, crystal clear. Very nice. I knew they had it in them somewhere. Gotta have the quintessential nature pictures. These are nice. I'm somehow doubting these are from North Korea. Sun Gun. Sun Gun. Oh, there we go. There's Glorious Supreme Leader's propaganda. What a fine desktop that is. Nice snow-covered setting with, big artillery pointing at the sky. What do we have here? Potato Flower Sea of Daehongdan. This one's actually slightly blurry-ish. A lot of artifacts. Scenery of Bamonry. That's awesome. That really looks cool. Sunrise of Mount Pictou. Nightless City on Saijangja River. Huh. Royal Azalea on Cholilong. If such beautiful places actually exist like this in North Korea, it's a shame they're kind of the state that they are. Lots of starvation and oppression issues and executions for no good reason. Because it's definitely got some beauty. But this, okay, so there we go. Another set of wallpapers built in here, which I do believe these are stock KDE looking stuff. I mean, they just appear that way to me. Space, things like that. But this one right here, that's the best. That's the one we need. We definitely need the big heavy artillery and the nice snow-covered setting. Anyways, so there it is. And so that concludes my tour and install trek through Red Star OS. I'm going to tinker with it a little more and dig into more stuff and see what else this system has and what it can do. If you watched all this with this crappy camera glory, thank you. Feel free, by the way, to say some mean things or say something nice in the comments. If you really wanted to be cool, you could go to bitpusher2600.net and download my damn tunes. But Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you.